I'm using Adobe Illustrator CC 2018. So if you're using a different version, it's going to look very different, not only for the icons and the coloration here of the interface, but also because I have a lot of extras over here and our panels may not be exactly the same. So it's really not that important. You basically just want to make sure that you're using your layers panel and that your tools panel is open and you have the pen tool selected. Okay, so in 2018, CC 2018, the pen tool looks like this. It's a little kind of tip of a pen with a split in it. Okay, so what I want to do is I want to show you some very basic things and talk about the pen tool here and just kind of demonstrate what you use it for and what you can do with it just on a very basic level. So I have my pen tool selected from my tools panel over top of my page here in Adobe Illustrator. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to click. Now when I click, it creates what's called a point. So a point is the very basic unit. Okay? If you want to create a line segment, also called a path, so points and paths, if you want to create a path, you simply click somewhere else. Okay? Now you see this kind of guideline, this blue guideline here that I have in Adobe Illustrator CC 2018. That is a feature that's available. It kind of lets you know where you're going to be clicking, what the line might look like next once you click and make a point. Other versions of Illustrator, they don't have that, and they may not be visible. So just wanted to let you know about that. So if you're confused, that's why. Okay, so this little guideline is going to help me out, and I am just going to arbitrarily click around the screen. Just clicking around here with my mouse. Okay, and when I get close to my start point again, I'll hover my mouse right over it, and in this case it kind of snaps to it, and a little icon that looks like a small circle that is not filled comes up next to my pen tool. That simply lets me know that I'm about to close all of the points and paths. I'm about to come back to the beginning and join it into one shape. Okay, so this is now a single shape made up of points, and paths. Now these little circles that you see on the outside, those are for controlling curves, but we're not going to do that in this version or in this lesson. We're not going to pay attention to those. So really we just want to be focused on the points and the paths in between those points. Now you can see when I'm clicking around, it's highlighting which one I'm going to. That is an indicator when it's filled that that is the selected point. Okay? So we got that. I'm just kind of going around. All right, so that's just clicking around with the pen tool. We'll go ahead and select it and delete it. And now if we do the same thing again, we're going to select, or we're going to go ahead and create a point. And I am going to hold down my shift key this time. Now what the shift key does is it constrains our paths that we're creating and our point placement to 90 degree and 45 degree increments. So really it's 45 degrees. What I'm doing is I'm holding down my shift key right now and I'm kind of rotating around this little guideline. And you can see that it's jumping, it's kind of snapping is what it's called. It's snapping or jumping over around the screen by 45 degrees, kind of like a little pie here. If I let go of shift, I have the full ability for 360 degrees rotation at any angle. I'm going to hold down shift again because I want you to see what I'm going to do next. Okay, so if I'm holding down my shift key and I click, I can create exclusively horizontal and vertical paths and point placement here. It's kind of looking like a city here a little bit. Okay. Now, if I want to do 45 degrees, I simply move my mouse down, holding down shift, kind of an angle between the two, between the vertical and what would be a horizontal, and it'll go to 45 degrees. So now I'm creating, oh, yeah, that's all right. I did a vertical there again. There's a horizontal. I'm going to go back to a 45-degree angle so you can see what that does. Again, when I come back to the beginning, I right-clicked there. Okay. When I come back to the beginning, I'm just going to go ahead and close it by letting go of the Shift key and positioning my pen tool back over the beginning. It's going to snap to it. It's going to show me the little circle that doesn't have a fill next to the pen tool. I'll click, and there we have it. We got a shape largely composed, except with the exception of this last path here, this last line. Everything is made up of either 45-degree or 90-degree angles. So vertical, horizontal, and 45 degrees. Okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to, now that we've done that, I'm going to deselect. And in the next lesson, I am going to show you how we can create paths and points, but also have curved paths. Okay? So the more complex and more organic your layout gets, you will have a need to create curved paths. Okay? If you have something that's very kind of abstract and geometric, you probably won't use as much of the curves features of the pen tool. So with that, let's move on to our next lesson.